Welcome to Channel Make, your insight to the Australian visa system. Good day everyone, my name is Carl Young, your online YouTube visa consultant. Are you interested about migrating to Australia? Why don't you consider to subscribe to my channel and turn on a little bell on the side, so once we have all the updates and news, you'll be the first one getting all the insight. Now, especially in this newly changed financial year of 2021 and 22, now I was expecting an announcement coming from Queensland, the state of Queensland, for its state nomination for skill and also the business investment program, but looks like they have put it on hold. I think it's due to the announcement which has just came out from New South Wales. Now, it's not about the skilled migrant, but it's more towards the BIIP program, Business Innovation Program. So they have put that on hold since 1st of July, and it's about 2 months. So now looks like New South Wales is about to announce what it's coming up and how it offers for you if you wanted to migrate to New South Wales, Sydney perhaps, through the way of investment. So let's jump in there and have a look. So I've just received this email, and I believe a lot of people might already get information news as well, but I'm here to provide you a more detailed updates. So business investor visa, New South Wales has introduced the new nomination criteria framework. We'll pay attention to what that is, especially on the 1AA and 1AA-B, and also on 1AA which is the entrepreneurial way to actually migrate. So the detail, we will discuss that. Now, the August 491 submission window has closed, so that's for the skill migration part. But let's jump in there and check out what the investment program is all about. Now, obviously, I would jump out of the 1AA-C now solely because it's generally the same as previous schemes, so I won't put too much discussion there. If you want to check out about SIV visa, I did particular video on that one there. So okay, now let's check out the criteria for the state of New South Wales, how it offer, and the selection requirement for the state of New South Wales if you wanted to go there. Now this is 1AA, as you can see here. Business and Innovation Stream requires you to actually go into New South Wales and establish a business. Now, as you can see, there are several stuff. Looks like they are copying what the state of Victoria is actually doing as well. They are utilizing target sector. Now, once you see that there, I will go a head shake, because it's gonna be hard unless you're in those sector. Otherwise, you won't be able to accept it. Now, there is an important message here that they will open on the date of 20th of September. So if you wanted to submit your nomination for the business innovation visa for New South Wales, that will be the day when they start accepting all the I should say registration or expression of interest. So visa criteria, let's have a look. Personal background. Now, you must be under 50. Now that's a bit hard because I think the standard of the immigration law is under age of 55. Now, New South Wales want people younger. I'm not too sure how they're going to do that. And you need to get a bachelor degree recognized equivalent to Australian standards. So if you don't have that in the past 10 years, you either have 3 years of business experience in the target sector or 5 years of business experience in the non-target sector. We'll talk about target sector, what it covers. And your assets is required. You need to get combined personal and business asset of, if you want to go to Sydney, 1.75 million. Or if you want to go to regional New South Wales, that includes, for example, Wollongong, Newcastle, Byron Bay perhaps, 1.25 million. That's okay, that's fair. Now, business turnover. You must have a qualifying over ownership stacked in the two businesses that have been combined. So that's the business that you already had in the background before you apply. Okay, annual turnover for at least 1.25 mil, so that's not too bad, or 75 mil, 750k, not mil, 750k for regional New South. That's not too bad. So these are not too bad. Okay, it's just the age. I'm not too sure why they do that. They drop the age range down. Perhaps they want more people in a younger age. Now, point is, your skill EOI must have at least 65. Now, most of the applicant will have that. Applicants showing following will be prioritized. 15-point business experience. So that's the max. That means you need to have a maximum points score for your business experience. That's I think that's 7 years of business experience, or points for business innovation qualification. So that will be something like patents and things like that. But again, if you're in that kind of field, I have a feeling I will tend to move into a GTI program rather than doing the business because it doesn't get you a permanent residency straight away. Okay, now the main thing here, the target sector. Okay, if you're in Sydney, you have to be. These are the Sydney target sector. Will include advanced manufacturing, food, beverage manufacturing, agricultural technology, aerospace, defense, renewable energy, emerging digital technology, cybersecurity, and medtech. Wow, that's all the technological stuff. So if we refer this back up here. Now, if you don't have a bachelor's degree, then you need to have 3 years of work experience, business experience in those sectors if you require to go there. And regional will include 3 more technology-enabled primary industry. So primary industry will be, I think that's more towards the logistic, IT, or technological processing, equipment and things like that for the primary products, primary goods, meat, fruits, vegetable and things like that. Okay, critical mineral mining and things like that, and recycling, waste management. Okay, now looking into the business requirement, your business must provide business proposal, clearly describe how your business will contribute to New South Wales economy and create new jobs. Okay, so I think it's almost identical to what the Victoria requires you to do. Create a new job in New South Wales. You must create a minimum of 2 new full-time. So that's a minimum. That's the mandatory criteria. Now, bear in mind, you have to know that under the standard of 1AA from the federal government itself, immigration, that's not mandatory. But looks like the state of Victoria and state of New South Wales put it mandatory there. If you're purchasing an existing business, you must show growth in business since taking over through increase the annual at least 10% or business asset 25%. Exemption: you may be exempt of job creation if has implemented innovative practices is located in regional. So that's the way to go. Business investment. So in Sydney, you need to invest $500,000, and if you're in regional New South Wales, 300,000. Okay, now what does this tell us? Now this tells us that these people has to, if you want to go invest into under our 1AA, you need to be in those sectors, or if not, you need to at least have more than 5 years. So it's more relaxed in compared to what Victoria's criteria is, because Victoria criteria, you have to be in there and you have to do it. You have to do those sectors, okay? But it looks like New South Wales, they want you to be from this sector, but the investment proposal does not mandatory required to be in those sectors. So what they're trying to do is they want these sectors people come, but if you don't have that, you're not in those sectors, again, you have 5 years or other business experience, they will still take you. So that's fine. That's I don't think that's too harsh as what Victoria offers. So I think that's all good, and the required investment amount is fair. $500,000, that's fine. That's still not much, because compared to what you want to do, I don't think $500,000 can do much. But again, I think that's pretty fair to go. So rather than compared to Victoria, they want you to stick into those target sector, even in the investment proposal as well. Now let's jump into 1AA, which is the investor stream. So previously, as you know, it's 1.5 million. I'm sorry. 1.5 mil to a state treasury bond. Now it's 2.5 mil, but it's not to a treasury bond, it's into what they call compliant investment fund. Again, it's open on the 20th of September, and the New South Wales will consider people who are under 50. So 55, not they don't want it. You need to still. So again, even for the investors, they are looking for people who has higher a qualification wise, academic qualification wise, or perhaps they are in those 5 years successful investment history, or 3 year in the target sector, or 5 years in the non-target work experience. Again, it's a different, but they are looking for these people who have those background, although they are not required to do that in New South Wales, but they're looking for these backgrounds people. So that's a very different approach. Although they all use target sector between Victoria and New South Wales, but it looks like New South Wales is a little bit more relaxed. Now, investment background. This is the same as the requirement. So you need to have 1.5 mil eligible investment between, in combined with you and your partner. So that's the same as what is required with the standard from the immigration itself, and your asset required to be 2.5. And the compliant investment, I've covered that in the previous video about the 2.5 mil compliant investment, which has half mil into venture capital and growth private equity fund, and the other 750,000 into managed funds, and the balance 1.25 to whatever the managed fund. And again, make sure that it's not going into a residential property investment. So that's the same as what the immigration requires. Now, investing in New South Wales, are there any additional investment required? So to be qualified in New South Wales nomination, you must show that your compliant investment fund will make contribution to New South Wales economy. Now, I'm pretty sure if you manage to find a manager fund, they will actually get the paperwork done and show that. New South Wales will refuse a nomination application if you cannot show compliant investment fund meet the following criteria. Okay, so what are the following criteria? Okay, venture capital and the growth private equity, the PE, at least 50% of your VC component must be invested in a VC fund investing into startup and small medium enterprise in New South Wales, or a VC limited partnership source of investment in New South Wales. So again, they want to see that the money will actually go into a New South Wales entity. Now, emerging company, at least 50% emerging company component must be invested into emerging company listed in the Australian Stock Exchange that are headquartered in New South Wales. I think that's pretty easy because most of the listing company, or perhaps the emerging company to be listed, they will be in New South Wales, for pretty sure, for financial point of view. Now, balanced investments, again, they want to see that to be, in New South Wales. So it's a little bit of a job for a managed fund company to actually get this structure for the applicant. And living in New South Wales and the points, I think that's not too bad. Prioritize for 35-point financial asset. I think most people will actually meet that requirement, so that's not too bad. So the target sector is, again, the same thing that we have just talked about. Now, I'm going to jump into the 1AA, which let's have a look. It's pretty interesting, but I think personally, it's very, very difficult. Okay, now, although the immigration has removed the requirement to go through a member of Australian Investment Council to actually to have your entrepreneurial project listed there, but again, now the New South Wales government has put the age limit to up to 55. I'm not too sure why they do that. Anyway, now this is our entrepreneurial program. You must be accepted by New South Wales Startup Accelerator Program or Startup Incubator Program. Now, that's gotta be hard. Okay, and these includes, but are not limited, Stone and Chalk, The Studio, 25th, Cicada Innovation, Blue Chili, Fish Burner, Future and Transport Digital Accelerator, Microsoft Scale Up Program, Caltech C Lab, Tankstream Lab, and Founder Institute. So you need to be in there, otherwise your project will not be. If your project is not in there, then that's gonna be hard. Now, the fund to be injected from approved entity include the government itself, okay, either the state or federal, or the public fund research innovation organization. Higher education programs, so that's from the the institutions. An investor registered with the Australian Venture Capital Limited. So again, that's extremely hard. I think the immigration had dropped requirement down from itself, from the regulation itself, but New South Wales had actually jacked up to make it much harder than previous. Anyway, then the business proposal, and you need to be in New South Wales as per usual. So let me wrap this up. So from what we can see here, although New South Wales is considerably, if you don't read it in detail, you may feel that it's the same as how it approached by the government of Victoria. However, although they're still using target sector, but there is a relaxation. If you're not in the target sector, you just have to prove that you have 5 years of business experience in a non-target sector, and you still can do 1AA. And the required investments is fair. It's not that much, $500,000 into Sydney. I mean, buy a business or find business in Sydney, $500,000. That's, I think it's not enough anyhow, but I think that is fair. So in comparison of the 1AA previous plan, and the immigration had dropped the requirement, but the New South Wales had actually jacked it up to a very, very high. I think they're not really looking for someone in those kind of field. And if those people have those kind of project listed in those incubators, why don't they just go in GTI visa? Anyhow, what is your thought? Leave a comment right down below, and I'll see you next video. Goodbye.